Hello viewers, this is Mohammad Atif and I am going to tell you about the process costing basics, which is specifically useful for A-level students and F2 HCA students. Job order versus process costing. There are generally two costing systems to assign cost to a product or service. Job order costing technique is used when each product is tailor-made and customized as per customer need. While process costing is a process by which we determine the cost of each process at every stage of operation. It is practice adopted by manufacturer industries where standard product is produced. And process costing, the entire manufacturing process is divided into different stages, different processes. An output from first process is considered as the input for the next process. Here is the format of process accounts. Process account process 1. In process account 1, we have input material 1000 unit at a cost of 50,000. Labor incurred $25,000. Overhead incurred $25,000 and the total 1 lakh cost has been transferred to the next process. The next process received that cost, further incurred some cost on labor and overhead, and the total of it is transferred to the next department or process. Now we will consider process costing when all output is fully complete. There are 6 cases and in every case cost per unit is calculated with the help of different formula. We will consider the formula to calculate the cost per unit and then the value of output. First case is no losses within the process. Means whatever has been input is received as output. For example, input units are 10,000, output units are also 10,000, total cost incurred is $90,000. To calculate the cost per unit, you have to divide the total cost incurred by the output and get the cost of per unit as $9 per unit. Cost incurred on the process is recorded on the debit side, while the output transferred to the next process is recorded on the credit side. Second case is normal loss in process with no scrap value. Normal loss, there are losses that are expected as part of the production process, and the cost of normal loss is spread across the remaining good units. For example, input units are 10,000, normal loss is 10% of input, means 10,000 of 10%, 1,000 unit. Output units are 9,000, total cost incurred is $90,000. To calculate cost per unit, the total cost incurred would be divided by expected output. Expected output means input units minus normal loss units. Cost per unit $90,000 divided by 9,000 of expected output gives you $10 per unit. In the process account, on the debit side, cost incurred is mentioned, and on the credit side, normal loss units are mentioned in terms of unit, not in terms of amount, because they don't have any scrap value. Output is recorded as 9,000 unit. At the rate of $10 per unit, their value would be $90,000. The third case is abnormal losses in process with no scrap value. Abnormal losses are unexpected losses. Unless told otherwise, it is assumed that losses occur at the end of the process and are costed at the same rate as good units. An abnormal loss occurs when actual output is less than expected output. Or you can say if expected output is greater than actual output, the difference is said to be abnormal loss. For example, input units are 10,000, normal loss unit are 10% of input, means 1,000 units are expected to be lost. After this normal loss, your expected output is 9,000 unit, but output in actual is given as 8,000 unit. So the difference of 9,000 and 8,000, 1,000 unit is said to be abnormal loss. Total cost incurred is same, $90,000. To calculate the cost per unit, formula remains the same. Total cost incurred would be divided by the expected output. $90,000 cost would be divided by the expected output of 9,000 unit, and you will get the cost per unit as $10 per unit. In the process account, input is mentioned on the debit side, normal loss are mentioned on the credit side, but in terms of unit only, because these have no scrap value. Output is recorded as 8,000 unit at the rate of $10 per unit. Their total value is 80,000, and abnormal loss unit are also recorded at full unit cost. 1,000 unit at the rate of $10 per unit. The total value is $10,000. The whole abnormal loss should be charged to profit and loss account. The fourth case is normal losses in process with a scrap value. Any scrap revenue from a normal loss is used to reduce the cost. Whatever amount has been received from the sale of scrap units would be recorded as reduction in the total cost incurred. For example, input units are 10,000, normal loss is 10% of input, means 10% of 10,000, 1,000 units are expected to be lost. Output units are exactly 9,000 units. Total cost incurred is $90,000, while the scrap value of normal loss is given as $4.5 per unit. To calculate the cost per unit, you have to subtract the scrap value of normal loss from the total cost incurred. Here the scrap value of normal loss per unit is $4.5 and normal loss is expected to be of 1,000 units. Now 1,000 units of normal loss would be multiplied by the $4.5 per unit scrap value of normal loss, and you will get the total scrap value of normal loss as $4,500. This $4,500 value would be subtracted from the total cost of $90,000 and then divided by the expected output of $9,000, and hence you will receive the cost per unit as $9.5 per unit. In the process account, on the debit side, input cost is recorded, and on the credit side, normal loss units are mentioned in terms of units as well as in terms of amount, because this time this scrap value is given in the question. Output is recorded as 9,000 unit at the rate of $9.5 per unit, and the whole amount is 85,500. The next case is abnormal losses in process with a scrap value. If there are abnormal loss units, they may also be sold for scrap. Remember, abnormal loss units are where the expected output is greater than actual output. Example, input units are 10,000, normal loss units are expected to be 10% of input, means 1,000 units. Output units are 8,500. You are expecting 1,000 unit loss out of 10,000 and the expected output is considered to be 9,000 unit, but your actual output is 8,500 unit. So the gap of 500 unit represent the abnormal loss quantity. Total cost incurred is 90,000 and the scrap value of normal loss remains the same, $4.5 per unit. To calculate the cost per unit, the formula also remains the same. Total cost incurred would be subtracted by the scrap value of normal loss. Irrespective of fact that actual loss unit are greater than normal loss unit, always remember it is only the scrap value of the normal loss which is subtracted from the total cost incurred to calculate the cost per unit. So cost per unit would be $90,000 minus 4,500 scrap value of normal loss divided by 9,000 units expected output, and hence you will get the cost per unit as $9.5 per unit. In normal cases where abnormal loss occurred, the whole abnormal loss would be charged to profit and loss account. But if abnormal loss units have scrap value, then the amount that would be charged against the profit and loss account would be abnormal loss unit multiplied by cost per unit minus scrap value of normal loss units. In the process account, on the debit side, input units and their cost is mentioned. On the credit side, normal loss units are mentioned with a scrap value. Output units are 8,500, which are valued at $9.5 per unit, and also a normal loss unit of 500, also valued at full unit cost of $9.5 per unit. But the amount that would be charged to profit and loss is reduced to 2,500 because these 500 units, when sold as scrap unit, would bring 2,250 of cash, and then total loss of 4,750 would be reduced by the 2,250 amount, and remaining loss would be charged to profit and loss account. Sixth case is abnormal gains with a scrap value. Abnormal gains occur when actual good output is greater than expected output. Actual good output is greater than expected output, the difference is said to be abnormal gain. For example, input units are 10,000, normal loss is expected as 10% of input, means 1000 unit, so the expected output should have been 9000 units. But in this case, the output units are mentioned as 9500 unit, greater than the expected output. Total cost incurred is $90,000, while the scrap value of normal loss is $4.5 per unit. To calculate the cost per unit, the total cost incurred would be subtracted by scrap value of normal loss, which is 4500 again, and then divided by the expected output. 90,000 minus $4,500 divided by 9,000 units of output gives you unit cost of $9.5. What amount of abnormal gain would be recorded? It is abnormal gain unit multiplied by cost per unit minus scrap value of abnormal gain units. In the process account, input and also the abnormal gain unit would be recorded on the debit side, while the normal loss with the scrap value of 4500, output unit of 9500 with the cost per unit of $9.5 per unit would be valued as 90,250. In abnormal gain, the amount recorded to profit and loss, the amount recorded or credited to profit and loss is reduced by $2250. Why so? Because it is considered as if these units are not as abnormal gain units, they would be sold as scrap unit and bring a revenue of $2250. Means $2250 amount would always be recovered. The extra amount that is recovered is credited to profit and loss, and that is 2500. Now the next thing, process costing with ending work in progress partially completed. If ending work in progress exists within the process, then unit cost cannot be computed by dividing total cost by expected output. In such a case, work in progress should be converted into finished equivalent unit. To find equivalent unit of work in progress, the percentage degree of completion of work in progress should be multiplied by the number of unit in progress at the end of the accounting period. Equivalent unit can be computed as unit completed plus unit still in process multiplied by their stage of completion. So the cost of unit can be calculated by dividing total cost with the equivalent units. For example, if input units are 10,000, units completed are 9,000, there are 1,000 units still in process which are 50% completed. Total cost incurred is $95,000. To calculate the cost per unit, first you have to calculate the equivalent units. Equivalent unit can be completed with the help of formula unit completed, which are 9,000 in this situation, plus still in process unit, which are 1,000 units, and their stage of completion, which is 50%. 1,000 into 50% gives you 500 equivalent units, plus 9,000 of unit completed gives you a total equivalent units of 9,500. Now the total cost of $95,000 would be divided by 9,500 equivalent unit, and you will get the cost per unit, which is $10 per unit. Element of cost with different degree of completion. If all the elements of cost, material, labor and overhead have reached a different degree of completion, separate equivalent unit production calculation must be made for each element of cost. For example, if input units are 10,000, material cost incurred is $1 lakh, labor cost $95,000 and overhead cost is $45,000. Output of finished good is 8,000 units and 2,000 units are still in process. These 2,000 units are 100% completed with respect to material, 75% completed with respect to labor and 50% completed with respect to overhead. For this, we have to calculate the statement of equivalent unit of each element separately. 8,000 units which are completed are 100% completed with respect to material as well as labor as well as overhead. While still in process unit have different degree of completion, so these 2,000 still in process unit would be multiplied by their respective stage of completion and then recorded for calculation of equivalent unit. In case of material, these are 100% completed, so the 2,000 unit multiplied by 100% are recorded as 2,000 equivalent unit. and the material total equivalent unit would be 10,000. Material cost incurred is $1 lakh, so the cost per unit would be $10 per unit. In case of labor, 8,000 units which have been completed are 100% completed, so their equivalent unit are 8,000. But the still in process unit of 2,000 are 75% completed with respect to labor. So their according to their stage of completion, 2000 multiplied by 75%, their equivalent unit are 1500. 8000 plus 1500, the total equivalent unit would be 9500. Divided by the total labor cost of $95,000, you will get the cost per unit of $10 each. Overhead costs are also still in process unit of 2000 are multiplied by the stage of completion of 50% and equivalent units are calculated. Total equivalent unit comes as 9,000 units. Total cost of $45,000 would be divided by 9,000 equivalent unit and you will get the cost per unit as $5 per unit. To calculate the cost of output, unit transferred are multiplied by the total unit cost. A total unit cost is a sum of material cost, labor cost and overhead cost. Unit cost of material is $10, unit cost of labor is also $10 and unit cost of overhead is $5. To accumulate to sum of them and you will get the total unit cost of $25. This total unit cost is multiplied by the unit transfer of 8,000 and you will get the amount of output as $2 lakh. For calculating closing work in progress, each element would be costed separately. Still in process unit multiplied by their stage of completion multiplied by their unit cost. With respect to material, still in process unit are 2000. These are 100% completed and their unit cost is $10, so the amount comes as 20,000. For labor, 2000 units are 75% completed and their unit cost is $10, so the amount comes as $15,000. For overhead, 2000 still in process unit are 50% completed and their unit cost is $5, so the amount comes as $5,000. So the total of material, labor, overhead cost is recorded as closing work in progress, which comes as $40,000. So these are the basic calculation for process account, how to calculate cost per unit and how to assign the value of output on the basis of cost per unit. For A-level students, all your past papers MCQs can be solved with the help of these basic concepts. Do give your feedback and subscribe the channel.